I never imagined that a simple family gathering could turn into a whirlwind of emotions and hidden secrets. The house was filled with laughter and celebrations, everyone excited for my sister Laura's wedding day. I, always the quiet observer, was merely trying to distract myself from my own concerns when something unexpected happened. During a casual conversation in the kitchen, I noticed that Daniel, Laura's fiancé, was looking at me in a way I had never seen before. It was a look that carried an intensity and desire I could never have anticipated. As the party progressed, Daniel's gaze remained fixed on me. It was as if he was trying to communicate something without words, something beyond the mere formality of the occasion. The interactions between us became charged with palpable tension, and the growing feeling that something was about to explode was almost unbearable. The festive atmosphere contrasted sharply with what was unfolding in our hearts, creating a sense of discord and anticipation. What began as a simple exchange of glances soon evolved into furtive conversations and discreet meetings. Daniel started seeking my company, and every moment we shared was loaded with growing intensity. On a rainy afternoon, while Laura was away, he invited me for a cup of coffee, and it was then that the magnitude of his feelings was revealed. He confessed that he was in love with me, a revelation that challenged everything I knew about morality and family norms. The shock and confusion overwhelmed me. I was faced with an emotional dilemma: how to deal with the growing attraction to someone who was about to marry my sister. This moment marked the beginning of a drama that would unfold into a roller coaster of emotions and difficult decisions. With my heart racing and my mind full of questions, I knew I needed to confront the truth about my feelings and what to do next. Laura, my sister, has always been the star of the family. She is the epitome of perfection, with an irresistible charm and a warm personality that captivates everyone around her. Since childhood, Laura has always had the ability to light up any room with her smile and contagious energy. Her choice of Daniel, a successful and kind man, seemed like a perfect match for her life. They were the couple everyone admired and wanted to be, and I, as the younger sister, always felt a mix of pride and envy for her natural brilliance. Daniel, Laura's fiancé, is the type of man who exudes confidence and success. He has a presence that is impossible to ignore, with a gaze that seems to perceive everything around him. He is the kind of man who, upon entering a room, immediately draws attention. Although his demeanor is generally calm and polite, there is something enigmatic about the way he carries himself. He is the model of stability and success, and the way he looks at me reveals a side of his personality that was hidden beneath the surface. And I, the sister caught in the midst of this emotional whirlwind, have always been the discreet figure in the family. My life has been marked by a constant search for my own place in the world, something that always seemed just out of reach. With a more reserved personality and a life without major events, I am the antithesis of Laura's glamour. However, Daniel's unexpected attention made me question my own identity and the limits of what I was willing to confront. As the tension between Daniel and I developed, I began to see myself as a character in a drama I never imagined I would be living. The line between right and wrong started to blur, and I found myself entangled in a plot where family roles and personal feelings intertwined in complicated ways. Daniel's introduction into my life brought forth an internal struggle between desire and loyalty, creating an emotionally charged and difficult situation to navigate. As the connection between Daniel and me became more evident, the internal conflict intensified. The mutual attraction that had started with simple glances and furtive conversations was now evolving into something deeper and impossible to ignore. With each clandestine meeting, the tension between us grew, and I could no longer distinguish if it was the excitement of the moment or something more significant. I found myself drawn to a man who was about to marry my sister, creating a morally impossible and emotionally devastating situation. The dilemma was further complicated by the fact that Daniel seemed as divided as I was. While his words and actions revealed his desire for me, he also showed deep respect and affection for Laura. His internal struggle made the environment even more charged, with the weight of social and family expectations hanging over us. It was as if we were walking a tightrope, trying to find a balance between desire and loyalty, without knowing where it would lead us. The situation worsened during a family dinner, when the atmosphere between Daniel and me became impossible for others to ignore. The whisper of our connection began to spread, creating a charged environment of tension and speculation. The festive atmosphere and anticipation of the wedding starkly contrasted with what was happening behind the scenes, creating a tumultuous setting filled with conflicting emotions. Laura's furtive glances at me, mixed with Daniel's growing apprehension, formed a cauldron of uncertainties and fears. The personal drama unfolding in my life was starting to affect my relationship with my sister and everyone around me. The pressure to keep up appearances and protect Laura's feelings, while dealing with the growing attraction to Daniel, made each day a test of emotional endurance. The battle between personal desire and family loyalty was on the brink of a breaking point, and I knew that the next decision I made could change everything forever. As the weight of the decision I faced began to unravel in unexpected ways, complications started to emerge. Daniel and I continued to meet discreetly, seeking solace and understanding in the darkest hours. With each meeting, the complexity of our situation became more evident. I discovered that Daniel was not only battling his own feelings but also dealing with external pressures. His family was involved in a business venture that could ensure his career success, and the marriage to Laura was a crucial part of that plan. Meanwhile, the tension between us began to affect my relationship with Laura. She, unaware of the true reason, began to distance herself from me, sensing that something was wrong. Her questions became more frequent, and I struggled to find answers that wouldn't reveal the truth. Each interaction with my sister became an emotional battlefield, where I needed to balance honesty with protecting her feelings. The fear of losing my bond with Laura was ever present, adding an extra layer of anguish to my personal torment. The situation took a more complicated turn when other family members started noticing the change in my behavior and the dynamic between Daniel and me. Rumors began circulating, and assumptions about the tension between us spread. Speculation and gossip created an even more charged and uncomfortable environment, and I found myself in the midst of a storm of intrigue that threatened to expose the secrets I was trying to hide. The subplots of distrust and speculation made the setting even more tumultuous. As I struggled to maintain control of the situation, Daniel and I began to realize that our relationship was not just a personal issue, but a crisis that could impact everyone around us. The choices we made would have significant repercussions, and each step forward seemed to lead to a new layer of complications. The dilemma of keeping the secret and protecting those we love was becoming increasingly unsustainable, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the truth would come to light. What's coming could change everything I thought I knew. Click like and subscribe to the channel. The decisive moment arrived on a rainy afternoon when the secret I had feared for so long was revealed in a dramatic and unexpected way. I was preparing a surprise for Laura, trying to make up for lost time and show that I still cared about her. While I was organizing things at home, Daniel appeared unannounced, seemingly concerned about something. The atmosphere between us was charged with tension, and I knew that the situation was about to reach a critical point. Suddenly, I heard a noise coming from the entrance of the house. Laura, who had come home early from work, had seen Daniel in my apartment through the window. Without hesitation, she came in and confronted us, her face filled with pain and confusion. The expression on her face said it all. She had discovered something she shouldn't have. Daniel and I tried to explain, but our words got lost in the whirlwind of emotions. Laura was devastated and disillusioned, and the revelation of our relationship left her reeling. The emotional impact was overwhelming. Laura, crying and with a trembling voice, accused us of betrayal and lies. The raw truth was now exposed, and there was no turning back. The public revelation of our involvement brought a wave of criticism and judgment from family and friends, turning the situation into a spectacle of humiliation and scandal. What had once been a personal dilemma had now become a family and social crisis of monumental proportions. Amid the confusion and turmoil, Daniel and I found ourselves in a space of despair and regret. Our plans and dreams were in ruins, and what had seemed like a passionate affair was now a source of suffering and anguish. The consequences of our actions weighed heavily on us, and the future seemed uncertain and bleak. The weight of the shocking twist was only beginning to reveal itself, and what lay ahead was a painful and complex unknown. The climax arrived with the tension at its peak, as despair and pain overtook everyone involved. Laura, deeply hurt, decided to confront Daniel and demand direct answers. She organized an urgent family meeting where the truth about our relationship was exposed in a brutal manner. The room was filled with perplexed and accusing faces, and the atmosphere was charged with an electric tension that threatened to explode at any moment. During the meeting, Laura asked a series of devastating questions, each one more painful than the last. The contrast between her suffering and Daniel's despair was palpable. He tried to defend himself, but his words seemed hollow in the face of the stark reality. The family's reaction was a mix of shock, anger, and disillusionment. Emotions were running high, and the situation turned into a battleground of conflicting feelings and accusations. The intensity of the scene was heightened by an explosive confrontation between Daniel and his father, who was deeply disappointed with the situation. The harsh words and accusations flying around the room made the environment even more tumultuous and painful. The emotional chaos reached its peak, with Laura walking away in tears and Daniel struggling to find a way to fix the irreparable. The drama was at its zenith, and the sense of inevitability hung in the air. I, at the center of this storm, felt helpless and devastated. What had once been a secret and forbidden love story was now a public tragedy, with everyone involved suffering the consequences of a passion that had spiraled out of control. The climax was a breaking point where the reality of the choices made became overwhelmingly clear, and the repercussions were just beginning to unfold. Over time, Laura found the strength to rebuild herself after the pain of betrayal, gaining a new perspective on love and trust. Meanwhile, Daniel faced the consequences of his actions, seeking redemption and a new path, learning from his mistakes. I also learned profound lessons about the repercussions of choices, carrying the scars of the experience but finding acceptance and understanding as I moved forward. That was my story, and I can't wait for you to see what's next. Subscribe, leave a like, and get ready for another story full of twists.